Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. TARDIS, and we're coming to the end of the Ninth Doctor and Rose Tyler Powell Estate trilogy. That is the latest chapter of the Ninth Doctor Adventures from Big Finish Productions. We've had Snare, the last days of the Powell Estate, and now we have Dare You. This is basically a Powell Estate trilogy before presumably the next three stories will take us off-world. And the third installment, and the one that I'm reviewing today, is Dare You by Lisa McMullen. This of course stars Christopher Eccleston as the Ninth Doctor and Billie Piper as Rose Tyler, and they, surprise surprise, return to the Powell Estate where Jackie Tyler is, played by Camille Coduri. And something strange is going on in the Powell Estate, where basically people are giving in to their worst impulses. There's a little voice in the back of the citizen's head daring them to commit small acts of mischief, whether it be interrupting a school maths lesson to do the conga, whether it be going to the supermarket and taking the bottom tin out of the big bean tin pyramid, things like that. And the Ninth Doctor and Rose land the TARDIS in the Powell Estate to investigate this temporal anomaly, which is coming from a shop next door to a butcher's, a antique shop, a pawn shop. And there, the Doctor and Rose discover a small cosmic gremlin-like creature called a Hellion, this handsome chap we see on the cover here, played by Harry Myers. And while the story started with small innocent acts of mischief, the Hellion manages to sink its claws into the Doctor's mind, and you don't want to know what a Time Lord is like when it's had its inhibitions removed.
What's this about the hokey-cokey? We having a party?
It was a maths lesson, and it was the conga.
Why were you doing the conga in your maths class?
I couldn't not, it was a compulsion.
Like me with the bean tins.
Compulsion?
You know when you're on top of a tall building?
Or the edge of a train platform.
Yeah, and you get that urge to jump, but you don't.
The call of the void.
The what?
That's what it's called. That compulsion, that feeling, the call of the void. Vertigo isn't a fear of falling. It's a desire to fly.
With me, it was a desire to knock over a stack of baked beans.
And you all gave in to these desires, these compulsions.
Yeah.
Any chance it's got something to do with the butchers in the precinct?
I doubt it. Barry's a vegan and Davy's mum doesn't trust the sausages.
It's just we noticed a weird temporal surge coming from the butchers.
Although it's a nightmare trying to pinpoint a temporal surge. Could be the shop next door.
There isn't a shop next door.
Yeah, there is.
The new pawnbrokers.
And have any of you been in there?
There's
Yes,
five.
Vicky.
I wasn't sure what to expect going into Dare You. I know that Lisa McMullen is a really good writer, but there wasn't that much about the premise that I was really excited about, and I also think that while it's a nice idea for some comic mischief, I'm wondering how do you get an hour-long audio drama out of the premise of Dare You? And sure enough, the first act of Dare You is pretty innocuous. You know, you do get these small comic little set pieces where this voice inside people's heads dares them to commit mischief. But then beyond that, the story does thankfully evolve into some really interesting cosmic horror that is Time Lord and Doctor Who universe world building adjacent. And I thought that was a really interesting direction to take the story. You've got this Hellion creature, which is this ancient cosmic being, older than the Doctor, presumably, but it's got a childlike mentality and it's just causing trouble and it just really, really wants attention. But then when it comes to the Doctor, it bites off way more than it can chew and it basically ends up unleashing hell on Earth. The stipulation for the Hellion's powers and the abilities that it has to manipulate people is that it can't put these thoughts, these impulses into people's heads. These need to be things that they want to do on like a base primal level, but a person's filter will stop them from doing it. The Hellion essentially removes that filter, so you can't like basically manipulate the Doctor into destroying the universe. This has to be something that the Doctor is wanting to do, or is at least very curious about doing, and the way that the story navigates that loophole with the Doctor without compromising him as a character, really great sleight of hand narratively. But what really impressed me about Dare You from a story perspective and a character perspective is that yes, it does start with these moments of mischief, giving into temptation to do these silly innocuous things, but then it starts building more layers on top of that and it starts dealing it into impulses to say things and verbally articulate what your innermost thoughts are, with the Hellion daring people to speak harsh and mean truths to friends. Basically, while the Doctor and Rose and the Hellion are doing stuff in the TARDIS, you've got this subplot, this B-plot, with Jackie and neighbours on the Powell Estate, Polly, played by Beverly Klein, Baz, played by Harry Myers, and Derek played by Dan Starkey, Davey played by Jack Ayres, and it's basically this friendship group falling apart under the influence of the Hellion. And while that is a good idea, I understand the utility and the convenience of having other characters from the Powell estate around with Jackie. I'm sorry, when it came to this dynamic with Jackie and her friends, I just did not care, and I was just waiting for the scene to transition back to the Doctor and Rose. I understand the idea to do more world building while we're at the Powell estate for Rose and Jackie's circle of friends, and I thought Snare did it pretty well. I just haven't been interested in this dynamic in the last days of the Powell estate, and also Dare You. You know, Aliens of London would not have been improved if Rue was there when Jackie was attacked by the Slitheen. No, where this element of the plot really starts to work and become a fully fledged arc over the course of the story is the Hellion lowering these inhibitions for Rose and Jackie, and that these inhibitions and these mental safety catches don't just stop us from saying horrible things to people we love, it can also sometimes stop us from saying positive things for fear of being vulnerable or fear of being rejected, and I thought that was a really lovely approach. It leads to a really beautiful ending, and I think it gives us, for my money, the best Rose and Jackie interaction of the entire franchise. The final few scenes with Billie Piper and Camille Coduri are absolutely beautiful and really played sensitively. I think Lisa McMullen has done a really terrific job at digging down deep into these characters and the silent resentments that they may have for each other, but also the boundless love that they have as an unorthodox family. I think it's really lovely, and it's basically worth the price of admission all on its own. And also, I really like the Ninth Doctor and what the Hellion does to him, and how basically the story kicks off the third act with a Shakespearean rhyming monologue. And Eccleston, he's done Shakespeare. He absolutely belts out this like rhyme that awakens this cosmic being called the Overwhelming, and I thought it was really, really cool and epic. I thought Christopher Eccleston was really great in this story, and it's great to hear him just gush about the script and the behind-the-scenes interviews at the end of the story as well. It's clear that he really loves what Dare You is going for, and also loves Lisa McMullen as a writer, and you know what, I can't blame him. Like I said earlier, I could really take or leave the Jackie Tyler interactions with her friends while the Doctor, Rose and the Hellion are doing way more interesting things in the background, but apart from that, I really, really enjoyed Dare You. I think it might be my favourite of the three. I don't know, Snare was also really, really strong. Either way, they are trying to do different things. If you do want a more fleshed out, more interesting Powell estate, then Snare's got your back, whereas I think Dare You is more interested in breaking down this TARDIS trio, essentially, if you count Jackie Tyler. But I will say, while this has been an enjoyable trilogy for the most part with the Ninth Doctor and Rose, I cannot wait to actually get off into space and start doing some more hard sci-fi here. We've got Cloud 8 coming out in February, written by Lauren Mooney and Stuart Pringle, another pair of writers from Big Finish who I love. The Doctor and Rose travelling to the 47th century, yeah, sign me up. Just get me away from the Powell estate. But yeah, that was my review of the Ninth Doctor Adventures Dare You. Really, really good story. Really recommend this one. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, leave your comments and thoughts on Dare You in the comment section below. Subscribe while you're here as well. And folks, I'll see you all next time.